Good day. Welcome to our business plan development session. Today we're talking environmental requirements. In terms of environmental requirements, different business needs to comply with different environmental legislation. It depends on the type of business that you are operating or the sector that you are in. So, for example, if you are in a service station, before you set up a service station, you need to do what they call EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment. Then you can't set up before you do the EIA. So don't put the horse before the cart, or whatever the saying is. Make sure that you understand what are the requirements in your sector in terms of the environmental impact. Because doing a business without doing the EIA, you are not complying with the law, and your business can be closed. So make sure that you investigate the sector that you are in. You understand the environmental requirements. Do you have to do EIA before you start or not? But EIA is mainly for heavy industrial businesses that they pollute. So if there's no pollution in your operation, generally you don't need EIA. But sometimes if you are doing a big factory or you are setting up a hotel, you're going to cut trees and you are developing a big piece of land, then you need to do EIA, and you need to approach your environmental department, whatever it might be, provincial or national, depending on property that you are developing. You do your environmental impact study, you pay the specialist to do that, and you submit the study to the relevant department, and that department will approve or deny the study. So don't start before you do that. You do the environmental impact assessment, because if for some reason it's not approved, then that means you can't set up that type of business. So EIA is very important, and generally they say it takes about 6 months to do EIA. But we know the inefficiencies within our government system, so don't budget 6 months. You can budget longer than that, depending on the consultant that you are using. Then, in terms of the relationship with the sector and the understanding of how the department operate, but make it sufficient. Provide enough time for you to do the EIA, because without doing the EIA, you might set up a business that is not compliant with your environmental laws, and then that can cause your business to fail. In addition to environmental laws, in this section you're also dealing with other legislative requirements, depending on the business that you are in. One, as we discussed earlier, you need to have, if you are a business and you want to sink a borehole, you need a water license. Two, if you are operating heavy duty equipment, you need a 3-phase in terms of electricity. Those are the certain compliances that you need to make sure that they are in place when you start a new business. And another one is, if you are in food, you are operating a restaurant or where you are producing food, you need to make sure that there is food safety. You're compliant with the food safety legislations, and normally generally there's municipality that will come to the audit, and they give you the certificate for food safety or health and safety certificate. So if you are running a restaurant and you don't have a food safety certificate, then it becomes, or health and safety certificate, then it becomes a challenge. Or if you're running a business where you have a lot of people, you need to have a health and safety file to make sure that you have the first aider, and you have the exit, you have the fire extinguishers and all that. Those are other legislation that you need to comply with. These are more operational legislations that you need to make sure that you understand and you comply with. And then, if you are let's say you are processing, you have large factories, there's HACCP that you need to comply with. So make sure that you get the necessary consultants to help you with your HACCP in terms of compliance, and you apply and then you get certificated. Lastly, the one that we're going to touch on, if you are exporting your produce, let's say you are in farming, you're exporting your produce, there's what they call a global gap that you need to comply with. as well. You need to get your consultant to come help you to make sure that you are compliant, because your produce will not be accepted if you don't have global gap. So those are the legislative and environmental issues that you need to make sure that you understand and you comply with before you start your business. Or if you're operating already, just familiarize yourself with the legislative and environmental requirement in your space to make sure that you are compliant, because the impact can be dire in terms of government can close your business if you are non-compliant, and you don't want that. You might lose a lot of money for just not complying with environmental and legislative requirements. As usual, we're gonna show you a video in terms of addressing or interrogating the 3 case studies that we use for our business plan development, which is the McDonald's, AEY, and the Auckland Ace, in terms of environmental impact, how their businesses impact the environment and what they have to comply with. So enjoy the videos, and hopefully after this video you'll be able to apply the environmental requirement on your business.
Environmental. One way or another, your organization will have an impact on the environment, either negative or positive. The level of impact on the environment is influenced by the sector that you're operating in. Some sectors have a higher impact than others. There are 2 types of environmental considerations. One is legislative, where an organization is required to comply, i.e., Environmental Impact Assessment, EIA. 2 is environmentally friendly strategies, voluntary strategies by an organization to reduce carbon footprint. The first step is to make sure you know your sector's legislative environmental requirements and make sure you comply. Secondly, try and reduce your organization's carbon emission footprint. Basically, try and reduce your organization's negative impact on the environment. Most importantly, you should not compromise efficiency and economical viability of your organization in favor of being environmentally friendly.
McDonald's builds stores, therefore they are required by law to conduct Environmental Impact Assessments, EIA. McDonald's is expected to make sure it obtains all the EIA approvals before they commence building. Entrepreneurs should not underestimate the time it takes to get EIA approval. Generally, it is believed that it takes about 6 months, but practically it takes much longer than that because of the insufficiencies in our government system. EIA requires an organization to develop compliant environmental compliance strategies and monitoring system. Some environmental considerations for McDonald's as a fast food company is management and disposal of waste. It requires a valid health and safety certificate to operate. What are your sector's environment compliance requirements?
AY is a small service business with limited impact on the environment. AY operated from a rented office, therefore its environmental compliance requirements was minimal. Unfortunately, the sector they were serving generates high pollution. Guns, bombs, tanks are not environmentally friendly. Even though AY's operations have limited impact on the environment, because of the nature of the industry it is serving, it is negatively contributing to the environment. Think about how you will reduce your environmental footprint.
Stadiums and training facilities have a high negative environmental impact because of the large space required and water and electricity consumption which needs to be managed. Another main environmental impact of the A's operation is noise pollution and waste on match days. The A's must make sure it has a process and procedures to manage the noise pollution and waste. The A's operations also consume a lot of electricity and water, which have a negative impact on the environment. The A's are expected to efficiently manage the noise, waste, electricity, and water use. As an entrepreneur, you need to determine strategies that you will put in place to manage your environmental compliance. Complete the assignment. Compare how the topic is addressed in the 3 movies and rank them according to your preference on how the characters and the organizations dealt with the topic and motivate your ranking, 1 being the best and 3 the worst. Analyze this topic and its applicability to your situation and industry. Write up your analysis to meet the requirement of the industry you're operating in. Update the